Welcome to the Midweek Mailbag, your Detroit Lions midweek podcast where we answer your Detroit Lions questions live on YouTube, live on Twitch, and of course available on any of your podcasting platforms. My name is Jeremy Reisman. I am the producer over at Pride of Detroit, and you can find me at Detroit Online on the social medias. With me, as always, is the off-season general manager of Pride of Detroit. You can find him at Erik Schlitt on Twitter. It's Erik Schlitt. How we doing, buddy?
Hey, it feels a little lonely without Drew
Right?
Petzing not in the frame here.
Yeah.
So, but I think we'll be all right.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
It's going to be a little bit less. I mean, the football intelligence is just going to be slightly notched down. No, not trying to. It's not being self-deprecating. That's just the fact of the matter.
Sure.
Maybe a little bit less charismatic, but overall, we'll do.
Sounds like you're dealing with the cold still, so that's gonna take down the energy level a little bit, I think.
Nah, I'm bringing it today. We gotta bring it. I could not have brought it if we did this on Tuesday or Wednesday, but we're doing this a little bit late. I got the energy. We're taking care of things. On today's midweek mailbag, we're going to talk a little bit about the Rod Wood news that happened suddenly Wednesday. We're going to talk some free agency, some cap stuff, and of course we'll touch a little bit on the draft with the NFL Combine next week. But yeah, let's start with some Rod Wood talk, who announced yesterday, Wednesday, that he is retiring from the Lions president and CEO position, effective as soon as they find a replacement, which the expectation is before the 2026 season. So our first question comes from SPEX93, asks, other than Mike Disner, who I think we both probably would agree is the favorite to land the job, who are some other people the Lions could replace Rod Wood with?
It's hard to say because you're talking about a business side of the football program, right? So you're talking about things like football, like setting the price for tickets, being able to manage the costs associated in just running a business. It's an avenue of football that we don't often talk about because it doesn't directly impact the roster. So bringing in a guy like Rod Wood, who is, a businessman first, and then, developed to be into a football guy later. Yeah. It made sense for Sheila at the time, but she could go into the business world in all of her connections with her that she has being a member of the Ford family, and she could pull up someone from anywhere, really. And I, the only other name that's been kind of tossed out there was from Detroit News' Tony Paul.
Yeah,
he mentioned Mark Hollis, who was the ex MSU. He was with MSU for a while. He was with Rocket Mortgage and Dan Gilbert.
Yep.
And then they have a relationship with the Lions as well. Dan Gilbert's Rocket Mortgage and whatnot. They sponsor training camp and such. So it could certainly come from that side of the world that we really don't have a whole lot of familiarity with. Now, the Disner move makes a ton of sense because he's been getting trained. It seems, for this type of promotion, but they could go a lot of different directions and it could surprise us. And that's actually kind of where I'm leaning.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, in their statement, they said the search is going to be, I think, worldwide.
Worldwide.
Is the term that they used, which is kind of funny. And listen, I'm not trying to, be xenophobic or anything. Like, yeah, maybe it does come from someone outside the United States. I don't know. They have their own search firm that they're using. What's interesting, a lot of people have wondered if Chris Spielman is ready for a job like this, and I think it's worth the discussion. My inclination, like my gut reaction to hearing someone suggest that is, I don't think he's ready yet. I don't know if he's business savvy enough, but at the same time, like, he has been on the business side of things. That's part of what he's doing. He's doing a little bit of everything. And so it's almost like the opposite of Rod Wood, where Rod Wood was business first, learn some of the football stuff later. It would kind of be the opposite for Chris Spielman, where it's like, I know all the football stuff, I'll learn the business stuff on the fly. I don't know if that's how the Lions want to approach that, since they already have enough people on the football side of things. So I think it's a little early for Chris. Plus, I think Chris is just, to me, the way I view him, he's just happy where his feet are, and
Yeah.
I don't, in a way that some people are afraid of losing Mike Disner because he was up for that Atlanta role, whatever you want to call, I don't
Sure.
the Matt Ryan role. Um,
Which is just like it. There's some overlap
yes,
with that role in Atlanta with having the business side plus
yes.
incorporated into with to work with the GM as well. So yeah, I do think there's a worry there for sure.
I just it's hard for me to envision, even worldwide, anyone who is a better candidate than Mike Disner, though, because
Sure.
there's so much. The issue with going from the bit, like, someone that is purely business side, is kind of what you saw with Rod Wood early on, where he was making some bad football decisions, where
Hmm.
the initial search for GM and head coach, they're just like, we don't know what we're doing, we're just going to listen to Ernie Accorsi. We don't, okay, like, we can save money if we try to get back some of Calvin Johnson signing bonus. Why wouldn't we do that? We're allowed to. Obviously
Hmm.
that was a bad football decision as well. And so there's so many things now that Rod Wood is, like, way better at and way more involved with, like, the fact that the Lions are, like, proposing rules and, like, fighting for certain things with their schedule, and bringing the draft to Detroit and the Final
Hmm.
Four, and all these little things that I think go underappreciated, require a bit of football knowledge, require a little bit of understanding of what the week to week happenings of football are. Plus, they're all the business side of stuff that he probably was
Hmm.
pretty good at, in terms of budgeting for stadium renovations, and getting sponsorships for the training facility, all those sort of things.
Yeah.
And who's been there watching it all happen but Mike Disner, who has, like, that perfect balance of business and football, that it just seems like, and I don't know if the Lions are just like, we're gonna say this is a worldwide search, but, like, it's Mike Disner's job. Like, that's what it feels like to me. Um, but I don't know. We'll see. Maybe someone does come out of the shadows here. But for me, like, it's hard to imagine anyone deserving more deserving of this than Disner.
Yeah, I do think Disner he makes the most sense from the seat that we're in right now. He has been working with Rod Wood. He has been working with Brad Holmes. He has been the guy who's blended those two sides together. And he's being looked at for similar positions in other organizations. And so I'm not going to go as far to say, you know, Disner was going to get the job in Atlanta, and the Lions, wanted to retain him enough to force like Rod Wood out necessarily. But I mean, there's a path that maybe that happened.
I mean,
Um,
it crossed my mind too, because part of me is like, how does this? Why is Rod Wood retiring? Like, why does that make? He's not like ancient by any means. He's what, like, I think he's like 65 ish,
he's got
and the team's
he's
doing pretty well. And I think he's better at his job than he's ever been.
yeah.
So, I mean, maybe we get an answer down at the owners' meetings.
Mhm.
That's typically when we meet with Rod Wood. I don't imagine they'll have a president or CEO by then.
Never
It's
know.
what, it's about a month and a half away.
Yeah.
Um, we'll see,
The
but I hope we get to hear from Rod, just because
mhm.
that's the one thing that was missing from the press release, is like, okay, like, usually when a player retires, it's like, I want to be with family, the injuries, whatever.
Sure.
Rod Wood is
Sure,
just like,
sure.
I love my time here. Oh, okay, but,
Well,
like, why? Well, there is a big question of why here that I think is very curious.
Rod's probably got enough money to retire and be
Oh, no
comfortable.
doubt
So,
about it.
um,
Sure.
but I can't. It's tough to put past a team, put it past an NFL team to view this as a business, right? Like, I mean, that's they view this as a business, and it wouldn't be surprising with connections in the business world to say, I'm going to just get the smartest business guy that I know, and I'm going to bring him in to run it. I do think that if it's someone from outside of the organization is brought in to run it, the challenging thing will be what you presented, which is there's a people component to this business that you don't have with other, traditional businesses, right? And you have to account for those, relationships that you're trying to build with the Calvin Johnsons of the world and stuff like that. And so you have to be conscious that this person would need to be conscious and aware, and not just come in and try and make, these traditional, business moves in order to, you know, try and, put their stamp on it. It's going to be an interesting decision. At the end of the day, I don't think the average fan is going to be overly influenced by who they hire, because so much of it happens, in an avenue that we don't see, right?
Right.
And so, um, I don't know. It'd be interesting for the diehards who really want to know what are the Lions fighting for, and the stuff that Rod did behind the scenes that I think goes overlooked.
The thing I'll leave this question with is I'm going to take this directly from Mike Disner's
Hmm.
job description from the Lions' own website. Says, quote, in his current role, Disner assumes responsibilities across both the football and business management teams, overseeing the organization's football operations and football administrations, as well as leading the Lions' strategy and revenue teams.
Yeah, he manages the cap, right?
Right. But he like that. He does the business. He does the football
Right,
side of things.
right, right. He
That's
does that.
that's exactly what you're looking for, and he has
Yeah,
years of experience. He's been doing it
yeah,
this specific role since 2022. So like, already 4 years of experience there.
yeah.
I don't even know
It,
if his
it
job would change that much. Honestly,
no, I
he'd just
mean,
become the like last word
I
on
mean,
these decisions.
yeah, he'd have to take the point on
Yeah.
initiating conversations with the league and stuff like that. But
Right.
yeah, it certainly seems like he's prepared.
Yeah. All right, let's move away from Rod Wood. I'm going to take two cap questions here from Chris Cole at Chris Cole HR on Twitter. Says, what salary restructures do you think the Lions will do to open up cap space, and what extensions do you think happen this offseason?
Okay. So from a restructure standpoint, I do think Goff is going to be priority one.
Yep.
And then I still think that they need a second contract that they might want to dip into.
Yep.
Looking at the cap the way it is, Amon Ra seems to be kind of next in line, but I'm a little bit more of a lean towards Panay just because I think you can just push
Yep.
Panay's money into the future,
Right.
because you're never moving on from him.
The
And
difference
so,
being that Amon Ra's got a $27.5 million salary, so you have more to work with there compared to
right.
Penei Sewell's $19.9 million salary.
And so, that's my lean.
Yep.
I think all three could get restructured to be honest. Um, and I'm not ruling out maybe like in a lean, but I don't know if they're really
Yeah.
interested in going down that avenue
That's
with him coming off an injury.
right. He's got
Right.
about a $24 million salary, but yeah,
Right.
the risk is a little bit higher with him compared to some of the other guys.
Yeah. I mean, look, in some of these guys, you can just push a little bit. You know what I
Right.
mean? You can take a few million or whatever
Yep.
and just make a simple restructure with that. If you don't want to take all from one guy, you kind of spread it out. As far as extensions, I think it's your two first round picks
Yep.
from the draft, with the Gibbs and Jack Campbell. Those two are due for it. They're both in postseason, getting postseason awards. They're not. They're just going to continue to get better. Jack Campbell's one of the best linebackers in the league. Jameer Gibbs, one of the best running backs in the league, and we're talking about like top three at their positions right now, which is
Yep.
very impressive. You need to. The Lions' mo on these guys is to get that done with those two. With Branch and Laporta, I think the next two most likely candidates, with them coming off injuries, I believe you can afford to wait a little bit.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I don't know if there's even that much of a debate on the extension talk, so I'll just agree with you and move on. I do want to go back to the contract restructuring talk a little bit, because I think a lot of people are wondering just how far they're going to take that in terms of like what is a comfortable number when it comes to cap space going into free agency? How much do you want to have? And part of it is like you want to have some money for some of the extensions, because in both of those cases, you're not really, a lot of times when you do a contract extension, you can actually lower someone's cap hit this year. You're not really going to have that opportunity, or at least not much, when it comes to Jameer and Jack Campbell, because they're coming off rookie contracts and those salaries aren't extremely high for their fourth year. You would actually with Jack Campbell. I'm sorry, Jack Campbell. With Sam Laporta and Brian Branch, because as we were talking about earlier, their fourth year actually just got a salary bump for their performance based on their first 3 years. So you could technically lower that first year salary and create cap space there if you wanted to. Anyways, I think, there's no magic number, right? And part of it is dependent on how aggressive the Lions want to be in free agency. But you did just see Patrick Mahomes basically just get the maximum restructure, where he had almost the exact same salary as Jared Goff. I think it was $55.75 million to Jared Goff's $55 million. They lowered that to $1.3 million, created over $40 million in cap space. The Lions could very well do that with Jared Goff, and it wouldn't completely surprise me if they did. The question is, like, where's that perfect number in where the Lions want to get to? They're around 5 over right now. Do they want to get 40 under? Do they want to get 50, 60, 70 under? What are your thoughts on how big of a money pot do they need to create here this offseason?
It really, I think, depends on how aggressive they want to get in free agency.
Of course.
Right? It's a tough question to answer, because if they're looking at their offensive line, which I think almost all agree is priority one, and they're saying we're going to need to get 2 spots. We're going to look at the draft to try and get one of them filled, which means we have to go into free agency, or we have to make a trade. We have to do something aggressive in order to shore up one of our positions, and then that would mean I need this much capital. And so once they kind of make that decision on how they want to attack some of their needs and how aggressive they need to be in free agency, how big does that number get, right? Because from a draft standpoint, that number's kind of fixed. From a re-signing standpoint, it's not going to change. Like you said, it's not going to change their cap number that much for Gibbs or Campbell. So you're not worried about clearing room for that. You're not worried about, you're going to have to clear a set number for the draft. You're going to have to clear a set number for next season. And so you can kind of get these, somewhat firm numbers in place, with the only pliable number being how much do you want to spend in free agency. And that's what I think is unknown.
Right. It's kind of a guessing game on their part, though, too. Like they could know how aggressive they want to be in free agency, but that doesn't mean you're going to sign the guys that you want to sign. But you have to make at least some of these restructures before you even get involved, because you need to be under the cap by, the start of free agency. Although, I guess if you wanted to run it to like the very last minute, you can have those discussions in the tampering period before you need to get under the salary cap and agree to a contract, and then know how much you need to restructure in those final minutes before free agency opens. And maybe that's the route that they take. We'll see. But I think there's some important numbers to like keep in mind, right? Like the Lions generally like to keep somewhere between 10 and 20 million going into a season, right? Generally around there. The draft class, I think last I checked on Over the Cap, is somewhere like 8 or 9 million.
It's usually 8 to 10.
Yeah. And so that alone, like you want to be at least, let's say 25 million under the cap.
Yep.
And then what is this free agency class going to cost you? Are you going to go in for a Tyler
and re-signing? And how many guys you're re-signing?
Yep. And so like I think at a minimum you probably want to be at least around 40 to 45 million under. If you want to be super aggressive, like you could probably push that near 70 or 80, but like that's super aggressive.
Yeah, I think it's I think 40 is a good number to kind of target,
Yeah.
right? Uh, they have more than enough space to do it. And I mean, right now, this is what they're doing. They're saying, this is the number that we value this re-sign on. We don't want to go over this number on this player. This is the number that we value this. This is the number
Yeah.
that these free agents, these are the numbers that we tab. And then they're just kind of taking these pieces and saying, which are our priorities? How much more are we willing to go over if for this specific free agent? And then they can start their restructures after that. And
Yep.
look, you can restructure Goff thinking that you need 40 million, and then all of a sudden if you need 45, then you can just restructure one of the other guys, right?
Yep.
And that's how you can clear a little bit more room. So they're they're never going to be like set, but over the next month, they're going to have all those numbers on all those guys, what they deem the value is, and then they'll start re-signing their guys after that.
Yep. All right, let's try to fit at least one more in here for our break. Let's go to Tim1213 on Twitter asks, do you think the Lions factor in at depth of positions in the current year's draft versus next year's draft? Say they think next year had good cornerback depth, would they be more likely to wait until next year's draft to draft one in order to keep the roster balanced over a longer term of years?
It really depends on your need, right? They're going to, they do scout this year's class, but they're also scouting next year's class.
Yep.
And their scouts have actually filed their reports. By this point, before the combine, the scouts have filed all their reports on these players. Okay. And they've already started working on next year's class. And so they're starting to get a base of information on what's potentially coming down the road. And then they're going to say, look, we need, let's say you're talking about corner. They're saying, all right, we don't need a corner right now, but next year's corner class doesn't look that good. Next year's free agent class doesn't look that good. So maybe we'll spend maybe we'll bump corner up as a priority a little bit more this year for us, and take a guy that we can draft and develop. We saw this happen last year with the offensive line, in my opinion. They took a guy in Ratlich that they needed now, and then they looked ahead and said, I don't know how much I like the depth maybe next year. We have a guy in Miles Frazier that we have a good value on, and why not bring him in, let him develop, and get him to a point where we think he can maybe be helpful. And they do this, like you can argue they did this with Giovanni Manu as well, right? Like saying, okay, we need to get somebody in place when Taylor Decker wants to retire. We think this guy's going to take a couple of years, and we're looking ahead and we want to get ahead of it. And so they're always kind of looking ahead, but if it's a position of need now, like they're not going to pass on it now because it might be better later. Like it's only like if they're talking about like your developmental kind of day 3 guys that you're looking to maybe add some depth at. It's not big needs, just kind of like Tim has said, kind of like future maybe secondary needs.
Yeah, I don't know how much future draft classes really factor into decisions, especially when it comes to like when you're specifically there on draft night. Because
Right.
to me, it's all about guys that are in front of you, guys that are on your draft board, guys that you just think are good football players. And if you truly think the Lions don't draft based on need or don't prioritize it, then next year's class wouldn't matter. Let's just get the guy that we want. Let's just get the guy that we like. And find a way to get him on the field. Now, I think you're right in pointing out they definitely have a scouting report on a lot of the guys that are going to be in next year's draft. Part of that is because it's just hard to predict who's going to declare, right? Like there are a bunch of guys that I'm sure they thought were coming out this year that they did a full scouting report on that returned to college. And
Certainly.
And you want to have at least a general idea of what next year's class is going to look like, but you also need to submit to the fact that you don't know what that's going to look like next year. You don't.
Also agree.
Every year, right after the draft, we do a next year's mock draft roundup, and it never looks like, I shouldn't say never, but a lot of times guys that you think right now are going to be at the top of next year's draft class end up not being anywhere close. Like the famous example I think that we use over and over again is I think Brad Kaya was expected to be the first overall pick a year before the next draft, and of course he ends up being a 7th round pick or whatever he was. So
yeah, there's a great example this year, since we're talking, you know, like I know people have really focused heavily on offensive line. Heading into this draft, Isaiah World from Oregon, Drew Shelton from Penn State, those guys were both considered top 5 offensive tackles. They come back, then they kind of get exposed. Their weaknesses show up more. Now both of them are like 5th round picks. Like these were guys that were thought of as being like top 50 guys, top 5 at their position. Now they're like 15. You know, with quarterback, we see it all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
and also, to be fair, like
it happens a lot.
Our perception is not necessarily like maybe those guys already had a 5th round grade according to the Lions last year, right? Like that.
Yeah, maybe.
You never really know, but the point being is like you get a lot of the more information you get on a guy, it can rapidly change your perception of what a draft class looks like. So I think if I'm a general, I can't speak for the Lions necessarily, but if I'm a general manager, I'm not looking down the line too much when I'm making my selections on draft day. I'm not thinking too much about next year's draft class because there are just too many factors that can change in a full year. I mean, a guy could get injured, right? A guy that you're like, oh my God,
sure,
we're going to do everything we can next year to get this corner. Debilitating Achilles injury. Now what are you going to do?
All right.
So, you know, again, I can't speak for the Lions themselves, but given everything that Brad Holmes says about, you know, not picking for need, just getting good players and seeing how they fit, making an effort to just get them on the field in any way you can. I'd be surprised if they let next year's draft class dictate this year's draft too much. And with that, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about the draft. We're going to talk about some free agency decisions and a whole lot more when we come back here on the Midweek Mailbag. We'll be right back. All right. What's up, chat? How we doing? How's your week going so far? Get to some alerts here, get to some of your questions. I also pulled some questions that I liked from Twitter that aren't going to make the show, but I thought would make good break questions. If y'all don't have anything especially exciting to talk about, you guys just want to listen today and not add to the discussion, that's fine too. It's rainy everywhere right now. It's been foggy and rainy all morning. Been trying to get out and do some disc golf, but I'm also probably not in the physical health to be doing so. Either way. Jed in Savannah, thank you for the 19 months. Says 19 months, this podcast, I must love it. I must Dominic love it. 19.
Well done.
Hashtag dad jokes. I would have gone the Steve Eiserman route, but I understand maybe some of the shine is rubbed off on him a little bit. But you know what? The Red Wings are doing good. And how about some of those Red Wings players in the Olympics? Are you still watching curling?
Yeah, it went to
You said they had it wrapped up, Erik.
Yeah, and then they made a mistake on the last thing, and then it went to extra round.
I saw you kept getting distracted. I'm like, is your daughter home or something? And it just clicked now that you're prioritizing curling right now. Amber, thank you for the 3 months subscribed on Twitch, and Uncle Indigo, 54 months. Hello to you too, sir. Good to see you, bud. I am going to the combine history, assuming I get a little bit better. I'm way better than I was in the last 48 hours, but If I'm still this congested and coughing, I feel like it would be a little bit bad form to go. But I've already paid for an Airbnb, so I'm going. Pretty sure I'm going. All right, we got some questions rolling in here. Let's start tackling them.
All right. The women won, by the way.
Is that what you're watching?
Yeah, they
Okay.
just
Okay.
won on the
Okay.
last shot.
Phew. Okay.
So it's over. I'm not straight.
We can have the full attention of Erik now. Argantis says, when will Erik start giving us grit index on this year's draft prospects? That's usually one of the last things, right?
Yeah, that's hard. Yeah, because we are going through information. Like it's just all compiling. Anthony is, my goodness, that dude is poured in right
He
now.
is a machine junior.
He has. It's an interesting class because some of the guys that are showing up early, it's not necessarily like the top guys,
Yeah.
right? And so it's not. Last year there were some clean like fits. Like it was like, hey, this guy's super talented, good character. He's going to be at the top. Ratlich, like last year, just made
Yep.
a lot of sense, right?
So what you're saying is this is a low character class.
No, not at all. I'm saying, like,
At the positions of need, it's not as clear.
well, no, actually, I mean, like, the problem is that I don't think fans are going to like some of them, some of the things that they're shaking out.
Oh.
But again, we're not. Look, we don't control. We're just information data gatherers, right? So
Just
we're not
put
controlling.
Jennings as your number one guy, and everyone's going to be happy. He's going to be up there, right?
I don't.
Jennings Dunker?
I don't know.
Really?
I mean, I would think he would be up there, but he's not going to be number one.
Okay.
But okay, like for defensive end right now,
Yeah.
that everyone is like, oh, I want this like pass rusher. I want somebody who can, burn off the edge. Everybody wants that
Right.
one guy.
Yeah.
But the guy who's ahead right now is a guy who everyone was super high on
Yeah.
at the beginning of the season. New defensive coordinator, new scheme. He went from playing edge to playing 4-eye.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, shocker, his production fell off a cliff. Right. But he's kind of a freaky athlete. He's 6'6", 275, which is exactly what the Lions like.
Yeah.
Character is off the charts.
Uh-huh.
And he can play edge, 4-eye, and everything. And so it's Keldrick Falk from Auburn.
Okay.
But like his stock has been just ESPN is throwing out these pass rush win rate stuff, and he's like at the bottom because he played the 4-eye. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he went. They shifted to a 3-3-5.
Okay.
Last year.
Yeah.
And so he basically was on a 3-man front, and he's getting double teamed, and he's rushing inside, and like no kidding, his pass rush win rate. He didn't get to the quarterback fast enough because he's he was in 5 technique essentially, like a 4-eye-5 guy. And so like, yeah, his stats plummeted, and people are going to hate it because they're going to look at the stats and they're going to say, oh, this is terrible. But stylistically, he fits what they like. Physically, he's the right size that they like. Character-wise, he's the right size that they like. And he's going to probably be the top, or one of the top defensive ends, and people are going to be mad about it.
That's their own prerogative. That's not your
I'm
prerogative.
just saying. And then on offensive tackle,
Yeah.
the highest character guy leading at offensive tackle right now is not in the top 5 offensive tackles.
Yeah.
unless you follow Daniel Jeremiah, then he's third.
Oh,
So yes, so but on everyone else's board, everyone else is kind of looking at him and saying he's like tackle 6 or 7. Daniel Jeremiah has him 3. That's Blake Miller from Clemson.
oh, Liam got it. Liam knew who you were talking about.
Nice, good job. High character guy, like a lot of intangibles that people are going to like. Okay, let me go back. Like with Falk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Anthony threw this stat at me yesterday. Threw this footnote at me yesterday. I didn't know. Falk got a lot of NIL money, and on Auburn's offensive or defensive line, there was a walk on who was had worked his way through with contributing, but he never got himself a scholarship. So Falk just paid his tuition with his
Really?
NIL money. Yeah, like that.
Wow.
That stuff is going to just sing to the Lions with Falk. Okay, so like, and Miller it's going to be like this too. Okay, so Miller, was it his wrist that he broke? Okay, he broke his wrist. He missed 1 practice in his 4 years. He's just I broke my wrist. Yeah, I'll take the practice off. Oh, I'm good. Next practice. Like, interesting character guys. These are early. And we're still gathering information. But some of the guys that like are jumping out there are not like the elite top guys, and so that's going to irk people. I'm worried about.
Hugh Freeze
There you go.
on Keldrick. Keldrick, many people don't know this, is one of the most giving and unselfish people I know, and helped one of our current walk-ons the other day with some of his NIL money, who was having a hard time trying to stay in school. That's the kind of guy he is, and we're fortunate to have him.
There you go.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Dang. Well,
I mean, like, look,
you got a little taste. Got a little taste of the grid index right there.
yeah. So those 2 positions are 2 positions that people are like, they are looking at heavily.
Yeah.
Falk and Miller are the 2 guys that are standing out right now.
Yeah.
Now, again, we're going to uncover more information as we go. And again, Anthony is doing so much work because I've been distracted with interviews with Drew Petzing and combine interviews or previews and all that stuff. But Anthony is just gathering stuff, man. It's awesome. He's doing so much research.
A couple people asking about finalizing coaching staff questions. I imagine we are days away from hearing that. This is around the time last year that we got a full list. I would not be surprised if it happens today. I would not be surprised if it happens tomorrow. I would not be surprised if it happens Monday. But very soon, I would expect the coaching staff to be fully finalized. And the things you're probably looking out for are, 1, what is Kafka's official role? 2, did they add anyone to the defensive staff? Make any changes? I guess any changes at all, right? Because they didn't lose anybody. We haven't heard of any firings of anybody.
They're gonna have something too, like that we're not expecting. Right? They always do.
There were a couple contract things. Really quick, because someone wants to know the downside of kicking money down, these restructures. What's the long-term impact of them? I'm just going to bring up a graphic that I made regarding a potential golf one. I'm just trying to remember what the article was, so I can Google it. Restructure Pride of Detroit. It should show up. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Desktop. All right. Why are we cut off? Don't be cut off. There we go. Okay. This is what it would look like if the Lions restructured. Wait, why is... What in the world? I'm so confused. Oh, I see what's happening. It cut off. What? Hold on. I'm a mess. Whatever. There we go. All right. That's the entire contract. This is what it would look like if they restructured $50 million of Goff's salary into a restructured signing bonus. So instead of a $55 million salary, it's now a $5 million salary. And this is what happens to the other $50 million. $10 million of it stays in 2026, then $10 million for each of the next years. In this instance, I added another void year. So how that practically plays out is you save $40 million in cap space this year, but you add $10 million to next year's cap. You add $10 million to the 2028 cap. And then when the contract voids in 2029, you come due the remaining 2 signing bonuses. So now you have $20 million in dead cap in 2029. So you aren't really clearing money. You're just pushing it into the future. And in some ways, that's totally fine because in future years, the cap is going to be higher. So that cap hit is going to be a lower percentage of the overall cap. But if you continually use this strategy and you continually kick these contracts down the line, it is going to make it harder for you to sign in free agency. It's going to make you have a ton of dead money on your salary cap when the player is gone. So the positive impact is that you create free agency money right away, and some of the money that you're pushing down down into the future will represent a lower percentage of the salary cap. So in a vacuum, in a lot of ways, there's really no downside to it. I shouldn't say that, because the other part of it is that all of this money is guaranteed. You can't move it, right? Like that's the tricky part of it, is what wasn't a guaranteed salary now becomes guaranteed. The bigger downsides of it is just if you keep doing it, because at some point the bill is going to come due, essentially. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Is there anything you want to add, Erik?
No, I think you hit the key point, which is the reason they do it now beyond just clearing space on today's cap is that the hit is a lower percentage of the overall cap in future years as opposed to what it would be in this year. And so that's a big benefit that I think gets overlooked a lot.
Yeah. All right. Joey Bosa or Bradley Chubb, if you had to pick one?
Chubb.
Why?
Because he's not Joey Bosa. I mean, Joey Bosa can't stay healthy ever. Yeah. And the suggestion of paying him $11 million or whatever it was for him to come play 3 games is the same.
He played 15 or 16 last year.
Oh, well, that's awesome. So that wipes away all the other injury concerns I have for him. You know, like he's a wildly more expensive Marcus Davenport, like from an injury standpoint. So
he's a little more reliable than Marcus Davenport, but
a little. I don't want to pay 4 times as much for a little bit more reliable than Marcus Davenport. So Chubb doesn't fit as well, but I mean he's okay. Like you can make him work. I don't think Bosa's a good fit.
I think stylistically he's a great fit, but that's about it.
I mean, yeah, he doesn't impress me.
Okay,
not anymore. He's past. Yeah. He's past it.
That is kind of true. What's your So, like, Proctor, I haven't done any research on him, but every time his name comes up, to me, he feels like one of the more variable guys where some people are like, this guy's really good or this guy shouldn't go.
Caden Proctor?
In the first, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the general story with Proctor is he's a massive human being. 6'7", 360. When he joined Alabama, he was 400. And so he's been
Okay.
on a weight loss program for 4 years, essentially. So he's cut weight because he played at 400 and everybody was like, dude, you're freaky athlete for being 400 pounds. If you lose weight, you could be even freakier, and which he did. And then he didn't think much of it. He wasn't really dedicated to lose the weight. And then he got a NFL like evaluation that said NFL teams aren't going to take you unless you're like 360. And he went, all
Right.
right, I'll cut weight.
Yep.
And so he cut weight. He is super athletic. And he started the season wildly inconsistent.
Hmm.
And so a lot of people looked at him right off the bat and they said, this was our expectation. This is what he's doing through the first month of the season. And this is my evaluation of him. And he's too inconsistent to trust. The thing is he settled down after that. And then
Hmm.
he got more consistent. He got better. He showed improvement. Now, you still probably want him to drop some more weight, but he's still I mean, he's freakishly athletic for that weight.
Hmm.
But it's not always an advantage for him because he uses his athleticism more than he uses his weight.
Hmm.
If you understand what I'm saying,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
So like he can keep dropping weight and keep getting a little bit more athletic, and I think that would benefit him. Whereas if he was a guy that was just like, I'm 360 pounds, I'm just going to anchor down and that's what I'm going to do, then that'd be fine. But that's not
That's not
really
his
his
play style.
game.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think the he started out so high and then struggled that the pendulum really swung on him.
Hmm.
And people got really ingrained and said, this, he's not it. He doesn't have it. It also didn't help that, remember, like I said, Isaiah World and Shelton were also considered like one of the top guys, and they both bombed as well. And so like people went into this class saying, man, all these guys at the top, like what's happening here? Whereas Shelton and World never really recovered, I thought Proctor did.
Hmm.
And what he put together down the stretch and into the playoff, I thought was good. And it shows more of what he can be. So I'm in the talents there. And once you get past the first two guys in Maui Noah and Fano, is those next like five guys,
Same tier.
5 or 6 guys, they're all, yeah, exactly. They're all in that same spot. I just have Proctor kind of like near the top of it. But that doesn't mean Monroe Freeling isn't maybe a little bit better in certain things, or Blake Miller's a little bit better in certain things. And so the gap between those five guys is not that much.
Yeah.
And so one team may have him at OT3, another team may have him at OT7. And so when you're looking and listening to like these national analysts, they're going to have varying opinions. The big thing is just that like 5 or 6 guys that's in that bottom half of the first round, second round range. Like there's going to be a lot of these guys, teams that are going to rank them in that wide range because that's kind of the talent level. Like there's your top 15 or so guys that are elite, and then the next 45 guys, or maybe 55 guys, they're all really close in talent level. So he falls on the upper part of that for me, stylistically. And so I right now I kind of have him slotted as my OT3, but I'm not near done yet.
Um, LJ asked, "Who do we see as a replacement for DJ?" I imagine you meant DJ Reader, not DJ Reed. Levi, that a big beast they need in the middle to make the defense work. I mean, Tyleek.
Well, they drafted Tyleek.
Tyleek is definitely part. Like I think if Tyleek and Roy Lopez are your 1-2 at nose tackle, you're probably fine.
Yeah, if your three-headed defensive tackle rotation is Aleem, Tyleek, and Roy, you're okay. Having all four guys last year, I think, was
Yeah.
pretty good. Like they
And
were pretty happy with
plus
those four
Levi,
guys.
wherever Levi's going to play, if he plays.
Yeah, I mean, we just don't know with him. We'll have to
Right.
see where he's at before we can really count on him for much. But with Levi, they tried Lacey. Lacey wasn't exactly it, but he's at least depth at that spot. You could go into the draft and get a guy like Falk who could do like a couple different
Some four
things.
high
Like
stuff.
he can do the 4-eye, he can play the edge, like the pure edge. Um, Let me see if there's any other like even Messidor, I think could probably give you some 4-eye reps if you like him out of Miami.
Yeah.
Like I think him and Falcon are in that they're tier two for me. And I know TJ Parker, a lot of people like TJ Parker out of Clemson. I think he's going to be right in that. He's going to end up in that tier as well. But as far as guys that can kick into that like 4-eye, Falk, Messidor, LT Overton from Alabama, like he's a guy you might be able to get a little bit later. Um, and then like you could probably get him, you know, you might have to get him with your second round pick, but there are some guys in the draft that can do it. I haven't really looked a ton at the 4-eyes in free agency, to be honest. So I'm not sure what's out there, but
Yeah, I don't know.
they may just be, they may look at Levi and say, hey, we have
There you go.
Levi, we have Lacey, we're happy.
Yeah.
And look, if Pascal ends up being able to play, he could
That's
give us
some.
some snaps there too,
Yep.
right? But we just don't know. We just don't
Right.
know about where they're at.
Yeah. And I think that's going to be one of the targets of the NFL Combine is to get a little bit more clarity on some of those injured players. I mean, safety, right, is another one where what the Lions do next month is going to be highly dependent on where some of these players
Health.
are at.
Yep.
Obviously, I think the expectation is for someone like Branch to probably miss some time early, but Kirby is like a linchpin to the offseason. If they're not optimistic about where he's at, both short and long term, then maybe they make a move in free agency or draft a guy. But we don't really know because they didn't really tell us when we asked at the end of the season. Bu- 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 bu. Someone asked about tight ends, day 2, day 3 tight ends. Instead of answering that, I would direct you to the website, prideofdetroit.com, where Erik just ran down, what, a dozen?
10.
10.
10. I'm trying to keep it to 10 because if I keep getting larger, I'm going to end up having the entire draft class in like these profiles.
Yeah. I'll throw it in the chat there. Do you have one favorite out of that group?
For which round? For
Just
day 3?
Day 2 or day 3.
Man, if it's day 2, Sam Roush is the guy.
Stanford.
Like if you're like, hey, I've got all my needs met. I've got my tackle. I somehow end up with another second or maybe I end up with a second or third, an extra second or third round pick. Who knows? But if you've got a pick to spend on tight end, I would love Sam Roush. I think he has everything that they want in a tight end too. He's the perfect complement to Sam Laporta. He's a blocker. He can catch passes. He's good in the intermediate routes. He's basically like an extension of the OL. Perfect. If you get to day 3, I'm still debating between which guys I like more, between Marlon Klein, Eli Raridon, and Nate Borkacher. I am probably mispronouncing that name, but I think
That sounds right, based on how I'm reading it.
Borkacher is from Texas A&M is he's got a lot of that balance as well. Tight end Y, he's comfortable doing a little releases, really good blocker. And there's other guys too. Like as I get further down my list, there's other fullbacks, but like I think Klein has a lot of potential to be really good. Like he could be a tight end too. we'll see with Borkature. I think he could elevate himself up to that status as well. But you want these kind of big body guys that can like be a tight end two, maybe even so work as a tight end three this year, and you trust them in the blocking game, but they can also release and flare makes catches within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage, and that's all their role is right now. Fine, you don't need Sam Laporta if you have Sam Laporta. If you need Sam Laporta, then go get Max Clare, okay? Because he's basically Sam Laporta. He's the Ohio State guy that I put at the top. But I mean, you already have Sam Laporta. Just sign him. The only reason I put Clare in there is because what if Laporta's back is bad and you're like, oh, we got to have him.
Yep.
Well, then he's the closest to Sam Laporta there is. But Roush is my favorite. And he's going to kill it on the grid index too, probably.
Joe Tiger asks if we were going into the draft, if we're going into the draft with 0 open holes, meaning we get 1 guard or center, 1 tackle, 1 defensive end, 1 safety tight end, and 1 corner, is $40 million realistic enough to get that many starting caliber free agents?
Oh, no. No, I don't think so.
I think it is. You can mess with contracts all you want.
Yeah,
make it happen.
But the way I'm viewing it is they're probably going to get 3 starter capable guys in free agency. They're probably going to re-sign some guys, and then they're probably going to take some guys that were kind of meh on that. They're like, oh, no surprise they just drafted a guy at that same position type of thing. You know what I mean? But I'm only expecting like 3 guys that stand out. That's typically the way it works. And then it's going to be guys that you're like, oh, that makes sense. He can fill a role, but he's not great, but he'll be okay.
Well, I guess I'm stretching the definition of starting caliber then.
Oh, okay.
Because I think I'm treating starting caliber as could start, not will start, but could start.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's different.
Okay. Because
they're
I agree,
going to have a player who could start at all of those positions.
Right.
Yes.
Do I think the Lions are going to grab 6 starters in free agency? No. I hope not. But like, listen, let's do the quick thing that I think that we've probably already done once before, but like going into 2027, assuming no one re-signs right now, how many starting jobs are up for grabs? You've got maybe left tackle, not for certain, but maybe left tackle. You've got at least, let's just call it 1 interior offensive line job.
Okay.
I mean,
I think that's as questionable as tackle, but yeah, I agree. Right. They certainly need to upgrade there.
Okay, so we've got 3 on offense. Anyone else? I don't think
3,
so. Right?
What do you mean? What's your third on offense?
Oh, that's only
tackle
2.
And center.
You're right. Yeah. Sorry, okay. Only 2. I don't know why I thought there's. Okay, so 2 on offense. You've got
you'd like to upgrade edge.
So that's 3.
Nickel and will.
Okay.
Nickel and will.
So that's 6.
Those are your clear starters. But again, you'd like to have maybe some more. You'd like to upgrade safety. Like if we're looking at like how the roster is.
Yeah.
We're making an assumption on Decker retired. We're making an assumption on Glasgow not being around type of thing. So, yeah. But yeah, I mean,
maybe safety.
The very clear without a doubt starters right now are will and edge.
Right.
Those are without a doubt. That's where you need help. We're most likely assuming tackle and an interior, and most likely assuming that they're going to have to get a nickel too.
Right. So somewhere between 5 and 7.
You think?
Starting jobs.
Sure. Guaranteed 2.
You're hoping to fill at least 2 with draft picks.
Yep. Right off the bat 2. Yep.
which means you have somewhere between 3 and 5 starters to fill out some other way. And some of those could very well be re-signings, right? It could be a Meek. It could be Al-Qadim Muhammad.
I want to come back to Amik, but no, keep going.
Yeah.
But when we're done with this, I want to come back to Amik.
Could be Meek, could be Al-Qadim Muhammad, could be Alex Anzalone. Like, I don't think there's a reason to necessarily give up on that. If you're throwing in safety,
his Twitter says different.
If you're throwing in safety, like, it could just be Avonte Maddox, or it could be, Daniel Thomas. You already have Thomas Harper.
Yep.
But like that to me is like if Avonte Maddox is to me like part of that $40 million, where it's like that's all you might necessarily do at safety.
He's not going to cost much,
right? He's not going to cost much, but like he can be your starter for the first month of the season while Brian Branch rehabs. And I'm not
Thomas
mad at that.
Can too. Kirby's going to be fine. He got acupuncture. He's going to be fine.
Here's the thing about that. Like that was a series of Instagram reels or whatever stories from Kirby Joseph. We don't even know if that happened, if that was like now, because all those stories came from different times. Like there was one of him like running full speed at the Lions facility on a bright sunny day. Like that wasn't I'll give you a hint, that wasn't this week. But anyways, Taylor Decker could be back. That could fill one spot.
Yeah.
Interior offensive line, like
there's more unknown this year than I think there has been in the past.
Which is why I think some people are thinking this could be a little bit more aggressive on the free agency side. And I don't necessarily disagree, but because there's so many unknowns, it can look a little bit more daunting than maybe it will be.
Where do you think they would spend in free
offensive
agency?
line?
That's but outside of Linderbaum, who's out there screaming at you like spend money on me?
Yeah,
that's the rub.
Which is why I think some people have started pivoting to trades, because
there's not a lot.
There's not a lot out there. There's so many teams that just changed head coaching. There's what was it 10? Did we land on? Is that what it was? 10 teams that changed head coaches this year?
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
And so now you have a bunch of players that might not fit under their new head coach. And, and not that what the Bears did was something I would necessarily recommend every year because it was risky what they did, but part of the way they fixed their offensive line in a hurry was making 2 trades. They traded for Jonah Jackson. They traded for Joe Thuney, right?
You mean the best offensive lineman in the NFL?
Now, the downside of doing that is obviously it costs you in 2 ways, right? You have to trade and it's going to cost you cap space. But in some ways, if you find a right contract, it could be less costly than spending a ton. And it's maybe more of like a Band-Aid fix rather than, some of the best free agents out there, you're going to have to commit to them long term. You're going to have to sign Linderbaum to a 4-year, $80 million deal or whatever it is. If you can trade for a guy, it allows you to take on a moderate contract while giving you an opportunity to find a more long-term solution maybe in the draft.
Did you see that PFF finally got their free agency board up so you can kind of sort through it a little bit quicker?
Mm-mm.
So what's the position that we're looking at? Offensive line. So their top, I'm going to try and pull all their offensive line into one section. I think I can do that, right? Yep, I can. Linderbaum is their first one, 4 years, $20 million a year. That's what they're projecting.
I just nailed that.
Yep. Malo, of Pittsburgh is their 17th ranked guy. That's a bit surprising to me. They're suggesting 1 year, $8 million. Boy, that's not bad. That's not bad for that.
Is that a center? I don't even know.
He's a guard. He's a guard.
Oh, okay.
He's a Pittsburgh guard. At all.
What are your thoughts on going guard instead of center? And then are you in
It,
the Tate Rallage at center might still work?
I think that they're going to entertain the idea, and I
Yeah.
think they've already made their decision on what they want to do, but I have no idea what that's going to be. I think
I
he was your best interior offensive lineman last year, and so if you're moving your best interior offensive lineman, it does that make a lot of sense? You know what I mean? Like if you're moving your like, hey, this guy was the best and he was played this spot, so let's move him. Like
yeah.
I don't know how much I like that, but I don't know, man. They've talked about it so much.
Yeah.
It's there's a lot of smoke there. So
I just to me the most appealing thought about that is that it just seems to me that your options for filling a to getting a starting center this offseason seem few and far between because you're either
yeah,
starting a rookie at center, which is as dangerous as it gets, or spending a crap ton of it to get one. And you are not necessarily in a position to outbid teams for Tyler Linderbaum or Connor McGovern. And instead, you might have to settle for a Cade Mays or whatever, Ethan Pocic, whoever your dude is. And if you are settling, like you already have someone you're settling for in house. I
so
think it's much easier to potentially find a good and cheaper guard, I would say. And you're probably way more comfortable starting a rookie guard if you have to do that than a rookie center. So I think in an ideal world, and this is just assuming, Madden works, like, well, he's an 80. Tate Rallage is an 80 at center, so he's going to be fine there. I know that's not how it works, but I'm saying in an ideal world, I think it works out best for the Lions if Tate Rallage moves to center and is good at center, and then they have more options, I think, to find a starting capable guard to pair with whoever.
I think one of the reasons to answer Joey Tigers is question. People are questioning his ability to play center because he was like drinking from the fire hose last year. Not only was he adjusting to the NFL, but he was also trying to adjust to a new position that he hadn't played, and he was overwhelmed. So that is kind of the taste that has been left in a lot of people's mouths is that when Ratlich tried playing center, he was swimming. He was swimming in it. And so he's got a year. He's acclimated to the NFL now. He's going to have more time learning the position. He'll have more time to prep for it. He's not spending an off season going through the combine and all that stuff. If they want him to play center, he's already preparing for that right now. And so he could get ready. It's just the last time we saw him, he wasn't ready when we saw him. I think that's where the difficulty is.
Do you think there's any chance that they have not made up their mind, or like that they have a plan
I guess.
Because that's kind of how I'm imagining it. I imagine maybe their plan A is we don't want to move Tate Rallage because he was so good at right guard, but if we go into free agency and we don't get the guy that we want, we need to pivot.
Yeah, I mean certainly that could be an option for sure. I don't think they're going to be firm on anything right now. No. I think they may have a lean based on what they're guessing, but here's the deal. You just kind of illustrated why the free agent class isn't great at center. I'm doing my offensive line combine series next.
Yeah.
I've separated into tackles and then IOL.
Yeah.
I have 3 guards that I think are worthy of one of the Lions' first 2 picks. One's worthy of the one, the other 2 are worthy of the other at 50. That's the end of the list. 3 interior offensive linemen that I like.
So guards and centers you're talking about.
Yes, at 50. So I have 3 in my top 50 right now. It's not great. Now, there's a bunch of guys in the third round, but the Lions don't pick in the third round. And so the way I'm kind of looking at this interior offensive line class is you've got three plug and play guys that you're going to have to spend pick 50 on or pick 17. And then everybody else is a backup. That's, I mean, and maybe you get a guy in the fourth round and he's able to start and it proves me wrong. But I see a lot of centers in that third, fourth round range that are kind of like maybes that are going to have to win me over for me to move them up. And so I don't like this interior offensive line class nearly as much as I have some of the classes in the past. Last year, there were 6 to 8 guys that I was like, oh, these guys, you can get these guys in this,
Yep.
This year it's like 3. And so, and they're all left guards. And so, again, I've talked about the fact, look, if you drafted a left guard, you can shift Mahogany over, and if you're going to play Tate at center, you know what I mean? Like that's not a big deal. Picking the side the guard plays on doesn't matter. But I don't know if there's a center that I'm locked into that I'm like, this guy can start day one. I have a couple guys that I'm saying maybe the potential's there. I want to see how they move at the combine, give me a little bit more a feel for them. I still need to watch some more tape on some of these guys. But there's a couple of like tackles that are shifting inside to play center this year. And again, like while they seem appealing, are they guys that you're going to trust to start at center for this team? Like that's a hard sell. And so,
Right.
And honestly, they're a couple of the better ones. Like they're a couple of the better athletes who I think could really be good centers, but they really just don't have the experience.
Right. It's Tate Ratledge all over again, right?
Right. And so a couple of guys and I still got to do some more work on, but I'm not overwhelmed with this interior offensive line group in free agency or in the draft. Which is again why I'm like open to the idea that if Tate shifts to center, it's easier to draft a guard than it is to draft a center right now.
Yep.
It's a weird situation to be in.
Well, I mean, just sign all of Cleveland's offensive line since their entire starting offensive line is apparently entering free agency.
Centers shouldn't be the cheapest position on the offensive line. Guards should be the cheapest position on the offensive line. It should be tackles, centers, guards.
Yeah. Ryan Toledo Detroit, thank you for the 42 months subscribed on Twitch. Says Petsing isn't a weekly edition to Thursdays.
Dan,
welcome. I mean, I'd love for him to be. Maybe that's the next step. Maybe we become like 97.1 gets Goff and Dan Campbell every week. And we get Drew Petzing every week. I mean,
perfect.
The thing is, like, we get coordinators on Thursdays anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, we'd be double dipping on Petzing on Thursdays. Get him in the morning, then get him in the afternoon.
So, Dan, Frank started at left guard in year 1 only because Graham Glasgow was starting at center and they didn't want to move Graham. So they drafted Frank, put Frank at left, and then the next year they were like, oh, Frank is better. We need to put Frank back at center where he's more natural, and then they shifted Graham back to guard again. So while Frank didn't start at center that first year, that was probably an error on the coaching staff because Frank was the better player, but they wanted to stick with Graham because he had experience and was comfortable there. So It's really just kind of a technicality. And then that led into guard rotation and all that fun stuff that coaching staff did that didn't make a lot of sense.
Graham has kind of been through the ringer in terms of like being thrown into every possible different position.
His career has, I mean, look, you go back to him at Michigan. UDFA at Michigan, like, or no scholarship guy at Michigan, walk on. Like, he has fought harder and been given like the scraps and just expected to like produce with scraps more than like anybody I can think of. Like that's had a 10-year NFL
Right.
career,
Right. He's made a
right?
career out of
That's
it.
what I'm saying. Like it's he's always kind of the quote unquote redheaded stepchild of of the
Right.
offensive line stuff. And it's a shame too because I mean, not only I mean he's a good person, of course, but like he was one of the better offensive linemen on that roster back then too.
Yep.
Like he was really good and he got treated in a way he really shouldn't have. But that was not a uncommon sentiment, says
Right.
Darius Slade and Quandre Diggs.
Not that obvious. Thank you for the 30-month subscribe to us on Twitch. It's time to jump back in. Well, there's Brett. Brett, you showed up and we're not done. We're only at the halfway point. You did it. My meeting's later today, Brett, by the way.
Would you flip Graham and Tate?
Would I flip Graham and Tate?
Put Tate at center, Graham at right?
I wouldn't hate it. I don't know if Graham still has it in him to play right, but I know that's probably his best position.
He was really good at left guard back in the day. Not so much his second stint in Detroit, but his first, back when he was in between Frank and Decker, he was really good at that spot.
It would be nice to just be like, you know what? We're actually fine at interior offensive line because it would allow them to use a lot more resources. And listen, I'm not saying that I think they are. It would be nice in a reality where they could have Mahogany at left, Ratledge at center, and Graham at right, and it would work. I don't think we live in that reality, but it would be nice. Sure would be nice. And I'd be happy to pay Graham at his current salary if it worked at right guard. But I think, if I'm being honest, I think Graham's probably best served as just a rotational guy that can back up any interior offensive line position. And that's a valuable thing to have, especially at 30. I think he's going to be 33 this year.
Graham?
Yeah.
34.
34. It'd be nice to have a player like that, but not at $8 million.
How much money would you be willing to put into a starting offensive lineman?
What position?
You pick.
It matters.
Well, I'll let you pick. Let's say you're going to add one in free agency.
Yeah. I mean, I would love a long-term starting center.
Okay.
And
but
I'd pay
let's say
$15 million a year for it.
Ooh. If you're going to pay 15, you might as well just pay 20.
What? That's
and
not,
get Linda.
That's I don't you are not my financial agent ever.
So, well, I'm just saying. So Connor McGovern is projected to be at 13. His contract is projected to average.
I'd go for it, honestly. How old is he?
He
28.
is 28.
Do it.
What if you could get a guard that's maybe better, a better player, at a cheaper cost, though? Like, let's say 11 or 12 million.
I mean, that requires information that I don't have, which is how optimistic should I be about Tate Ratledge at center?
Tate. Okay.
A lot of people are abandoning the Christian Mahogany wagon, which I know you think is probably a mistake.
Yes. Look, are they going to replace 60% of their offensive line? They're not. Right? Like if everyone thinks they're going to replace a left tackle and everyone thinks they're going to replace the center or guard de facto, right? But like, are they also going to try and replace their other guard? Like,
I mean, you also do have to wonder, as Joe points out, like if Mahogany and Frazier are both in training
Yeah, let
camp,
them compete. That's fine. I'm
will
fine with
that
that.
yeah, will that
But
raise the
I'm not.
competition and raise the level of play?
Yeah, I'm not spending money on a or capital on a third starter on the offensive line. That's way too much.
Ooh, Brett and Erik are gonna fight.
You know?
Horrendous.
Yeah. Sometimes adjectives are used to emphasize a point. I'm not gonna take the bait on horrendous.
What about tackles that could play guard for a year? Uh, it's a
You
hard
mean like in the
question.
draft or um
You got Brett to back down in a hurry there.
oh, he's being polite. That's a very respectful thing that to say. Like that's very nice.
Of course.
Brett and I have a very respectful relationship.
I know. I'm trying to needle you both right now. DC Smithers with a £5 super chat on YouTube says, "Have you looked at Austin Schlottman, Kafka's last center, who is a free agent? Could Brad be a wild card in draft to safety? For example, Thieneman in round one. Thieneman.
I would say no on the Oregon safety, because I think he's a talented safety, but he's not like if you draft him at 17, that might be like his value or maybe a little bit ahead of his value. The only safety I'd love is like if Downs fell, because I think the value is he's a better value than the pick that you're using on him. And if you're drafting a position where you are, obviously I don't know what the injury stuff is, but you've already invested in the safety position, and so it'd be a tough sell, because even if you're like, oh, we'll just play one of those safeties in the slot, I totally get that. But if you're telling me in their current defense that you're going to draft a safety and then he's also going to overflow into the slot, they only play that like 40 to 50% of the time. Like it's like a part-time position. If you tell me they're revamping their defense and they're only going with two linebacker sets and now you need a full-time nickel, yes, throw me on board for a safety in the first round. Now I'm going to consider him. But there's so many moving factors that would have to take place before I'd be comfortable with taking a safety not named Downs in the first round.
In terms of Schlottman, he's been a career backup, and he was a backup last year, but played towards the end of last season due to some injuries. PFF gave him good grades. I can't say I'm that familiar with his game. He's never played more than 400 snaps in a season, and this was the only time he's graded over 70. So,
How old is he?
30. Going to be 31 to start the season. I mean, he's a guy that you could probably bring in for like $2 million and have him compete, but I don't think you bring him in as a starter.
Yeah. He's a guy you bring in if you're drafting a starter.
Yeah. Brett's with you. There you go. You guys are friends again.
Well, look, we're
All right. I think it's time to get back to the show. We've probably already hit on some topics we're going to hit on again, so let me see, where was I?
it's a hard time right now to try and make these predictions, because there's so many different ways that they could go.
Yeah.
Changing the scheme, keeping it the same, prioritizing one position over another, changing the style of defensive. And then what are you going to do on offense? Where are the moving parts go? There's just so many moving pieces this year. I think it's more than any year I can remember under Campbell.
Oh yeah,
I feel like we've kind of
since like
known.
year 2.
Yeah,
When
but even then we kind of knew like, they need this, they got to get better here, they got to do this. Like they needed a
right,
lot more. This year, it's just the unknown
yeah,
on which direction they can go is all over the place.
right, which kind of makes it feel like next week's media sessions are kind of like high stakes because we, like any sort of guidance into where we can start looking on where
Here's
they
the,
might go would be helpful.
but here's the thing. He's already duped. He's already like, duped us a couple of times with things where he's
That's
like,
true.
"Yeah, I'm going to say this, but
Well, yeah,
maybe not."
plus, yeah, Brad
You
doesn't.
know,
The thing you have to get it from Dan. Brad's not going to tell
but
you much.
but Dan is getting slick.
He's
at,
getting
like,
better.
How he's right.
Yeah,
He's
no doubt.
he's going to give you generic. In that 15
Sometimes.
minutes, he's going to give generic. No, he's going to. He's going to be like, yeah, we're going to let Kelvin make those decisions on how the defense adjusts, and we're going to see what's there. We're going to make the things best for the right players that we have. He's not going to give us anything.
Yeah.
Injuries, we're still working on those injuries. We're going to figure those out as we go. It takes a little more months. We're hoping that they're ready. We're not going to get
Every now and then.
I'm
Every now
so
and then,
pessimistic.
a smidge.
I hope so.
Yes. So at the combine, we always get to meet with every team. I think's offensive. I'm sorry, head coach, GM, talk with the team. Not everyone, but almost every team. And then the Lions, typically in the expectation this year is we get to talk with both coordinators when there's a change in coordinators. I don't think we normally talk with coordinators unless they're no. I think the expectation is we talk with Shepard this year too. So
I would think
those are kind of off to the side, no cameras, so those won't be broadcast. But Holmes and Campbell should be broadcast. And yeah, they typically run about 10-15 minutes.
They do media day. Is it over 2 days or just 1 day?
I can't remember.
It used to be over 2, and I'm trying to.
Yeah,
I
Tuesday
thought
and Wednesday are the expectations. I mean, I know which day it's going to be, but I'm not really supposed to tell.
Well, look at it this way.
It'll be either Tuesday or Wednesday.
It's been on the same day for the last several years, and it's probably going to be on the same day again.
Yeah.
So my
go look at
that would
last
be
year's
my
calendar.
that would be my guess.
And it's always subject to change, which is why they don't want us announcing it. So
Right. But like, they've historically put the Lions in one spot, and
yep.
so.
And a couple people have asked, I will be there. Health, presuming, but I won't see my good friend Brett Whitefield there this year, unless he's changed his mind since we talked earlier in the week.
Will you see your good friend Drew Petzing there?
I plan on it.
I thought that's what you were going to
Best
say.
buds.
I will see my best buddy.
No. I'm going to see there, and I'm going to shake my hand and say, "Good to see you again," in front of all of the Lions media.
You've got to do the, like, you got to bring it in. You got to do that. You have to. I would do it. I would do it if I was there. You got to do it just because it'll just.
You want me to twist the knife in front of all the rest of the
No,
Lions media?
not twist a knife. Just stand on business.
Ooh, this is a good question. How much do you have to pay to interview Petzing at the Combine? More or less than you paid for the podcast?
It's exactly the same, ironically.
Flat
down
rate.
to the last cent.
Flat rate.
Yeah, the exact same amount. Amazing. I mean, I was shocked.
Shocked at how much we paid?
I was shocked that it was the exact same amount that we paid. Yeah. Yeah.
Call him Big Dog. All right, we gotta get into the second segment here. What are we doing here?
I think that's a good idea. Be like, "What up? Nice to see you again, Big Dog."
With a big... All right. Let's get back into this show. Thanks for all the questions. We'll probably have, we should have a little bit of time afterwards. What's your out? Is it 1? Your out's not 1, is it?
Nope. 145.
Okay.
50.
Great. We're fine then. I just need to figure out where did we only tackle 3 questions?
Yeah, that first question took
Oops.
way too long.
Oops. We're not going to get to all the questions I want to. Or
We
maybe we
are.
will. And
We're just
just,
gonna move a little
you know.
quicker.
All right. Whatever. Here we go. I'm definitely not going to make any bald jokes. Stop it.
Just rub his head, dap him up, and then with the backhand, just
You're getting muted. Stop it. Let me get into the next segment. I did mute you, so make sure you unmute yourself. Okay, here we go. Sorry. Welcome back to the Midweek Mailbag, your Detroit Lions Midweek podcast. Let's dive right back into the questions. We got a couple from Pride of Detroit Direct subscribers, which is always a good reminder that if you want to get some extra content, including a monthly Midweek Mailbag we answer 60 or so questions over the course of 4 hours, which is literally a question from every single Pride of Detroit Direct subscriber who submits one. Go to prideofdetroit.com/subscribe and become a member now. Whole bunch of awesome additional bonus content there, including First Bite. If you missed First Bite, that's where it is. Dominic L. is one of our Pride of Detroit Direct subscribers and asks, assuming the Lions stay put in the draft, 17th pick and 50th pick, based on talent pool available at offensive tackle and defensive end, which position should they draft first? In other words, do you think if they go defensive end and then offensive tackle in the second round, does that look better than the other way around? Obviously, a lot can change on draft day, but based on the talent pool at each position, which draft order would be more likely to give the Lions 2 starters at both of those positions?
it's a good question, and it goes against, I think, what I would prefer, because logic says that the earlier you draft an edge rusher,
Yep.
the better chances that edge rusher succeeds. And so logic says
More so than other
draft,
positions, because obviously that's true of
correct.
every position, right?
Correct.
Yes.
But there is a very direct. It's like quarterback and edge rusher. The higher you take them, the better the chance they succeed. And so logic says, history says, you take the edge rusher in the first round, you take the offensive tackle in the second. But yeah, I think the offensive line is so paramount to this team that I would be inclined to take the offensive tackle. The trick is we have to see how things settle, because the difference between offensive tackle 3 and offensive tackle 7, or 8, I don't think is actually that big. But the difference between edge 3 and edge 8 or edge 10, I think is vast. And so again, things kind of point towards edge, saying you can go to that early. At the same time, when you look at how the Lions use them, offensive tackles on the field every snap. Defensive tackle is part of a rotation, right? And so there's a lot of things that you have to weigh in. I think historically, though, it would point towards edge. I think for this team, though, it might point towards tackle. At the end of the day, they're going to take whichever one is better.
Right.
And I actually think they can get a starter at these 2 spots. I think there's probably 8 offensive tackles in consideration, maybe 8 to 10 edge rushers in contention. And you're hoping that one of those guys that fits your system is in the right spot at 50, based on, the fact that there's going to be all these receivers and other positions going off the board as well. So I think you can go either way, but which one's first? I want to hear your opinion.
My opinion is that if you trade down from 17 to 21, you pick up a third round pick, you pick whichever one you want, and then you pair your second round pick with your newfound third round pick, jump back into the late first round and get the other one.
Oh boy. Look at you.
I just saved your conundrum. Just draft both in the first round. No, it's
I go back and forth. I really do.
It is tough, and I can't say I know the class well enough to comment on the depth at both, but based on what you said, and we were talking a little bit about this off air or between segments, how the offensive tackle class is very crushed together once you get past those first 3 top offensive tackles.
First 2, yeah.
First 2. that maybe it would make more sense to wait and get that guy in the second round. In addition to everything you just said about how the correlation between success rate early in edge versus later, second round and later, would have me maybe leaning a little bit more edge. But at the same time, my personal belief is this team needs to get their crap together on the offensive line, and that should be the number one goal. So that is the push-pull for me, which it sounds very similar to like the push-pull to you. But if Decker comes back, if the Lions get an offensive tackle in free agency, if they get a center in free agency, maybe it loosens the burden of trying to force an offensive tackle on your team. But that is something that we probably don't have to worry about. If the Lions don't think an offensive tackle is worth the 17th overall pick when they're on the clock, they're not going to pick one because they think it's, they think the risk of waiting for an offensive tackle in the second round is too great. If he's not
and
worth
here's
the
the deal.
pick, they're not going to pick him.
100%. And here's the deal. If you look at like if you're looking at the national rankings that some of the top analysts are putting out there, a lot of them have the top two guys as like top 10, top 5 picks. And then no one else is good until 20 for them. You know what I mean? And so like that doesn't quite line up. And then, but if you look at the edge, there are a couple of edge rushers that kind of fit in that teen range that stylistically fit what the Lions do. And so they determine the value. But again, these are national guys. It's not the Lions.
Yep.
I think they're going to have good choices at 17, and they'll have end up having a decent choice at the other spot if they wanted to go that direction at 50 as well.
Our good friend Brett Whitefield in the chat says, among starters, edge has the highest average draft selection outside of quarterback. So there you go, feeding into kind of exactly what we just said. All right, next question from another Pride Detroit Direct subscriber who may have a familiar sounding name. Dan P. says, with the people talking about this draft without many blue chip players, is the Lions' position at 17 a good value? And yet, do you think we are also in the Ty Simpson trade down for a third range? Would we still get a good player in the mid-20s as opposed to 17?
Yeah, look, the most people are kind of looking at. Okay, let me start this way. Most drafts you tend to have between 15 and 18, between 14 and 18, like kind of
first round talents.
Top guys.
Yeah.
And with this one, that's numbers lower on the lower end. And so let's just say 14. For argument's sake, let's say 14. All you need is a 3 either quarterback needy teams or position needy teams to draft a non-blue chip player, and then all of a sudden you have the chance to get one at 17. Or maybe you just trade up a little bit to get one at 17. Like there's ways to get a blue chip player if you're in the right spot. But I tell you what, if things don't work out for them the way that they want, where they're not able to get that kind of blue chip guy, absolutely trade back. Trade back into 20s, trade back even further if you need to, and maybe put yourself in that, in a position where a quarterback needy team might trade up. But the secondary, like once you get past those kind of top blue chip guys, I think there's going to be a big group of players that are all going to be similarly matched, similarly graded. And so, yeah, I would 100% trade back if I think my blue chip guys are off the board.
I think it's a fascinating. It's impossible to predict where a quarterback is going to go in the draft, generally speaking, because one, obviously it's a thinner class of quarterback than we expected. So some teams might get a little bit desperate. I can't tell you what people think of Ty Simpson or any of the other guys that are out there, but occasionally you'll get a Michael Penix type thing where it's just like, what now? You?
Sure.
The one thing that works in the Lions' advantage when it comes to trading down and quarterbacks specifically is who picks at 18 right behind the Lions.
I don't know.
the Minnesota Vikings.
Off the I was gonna say, but they already have a quarterback. They should
Do
be
they
all
though?
right.
Do they?
Yeah,
Do
I think
they?
they do.
Are you sure? Because I'm not sure they're sure at this point.
Oh, I don't think that they would draft the JJ McCarthy of this class to pair with their current JJ McCarthy.
You know what? That's fair. um, but outside of that, like the Jets are right before them. They're going to be in the market, so
Yeah,
you
look,
might want to jump ahead of them instead of the Lions. So I mean, I don't know.
Quarterbacks are so it's you get teams that need them so much that they're willing to gamble. I am actually anticipating Simpson being off the board before the Lions pick.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. And if that's the case, and there are only 14 or 15 guys, I don't think in my very novice early opinion, that the Lions are in a great position to trade down, even though that's what that's what a lot of us want. But, I mean, we'll see. So many things can happen unexpectedly in draft. I mean, it was just 2 years ago where there wasn't a defensive player picked in the top 15 picks. And in that case, if something like that were to happen again this year, and it probably won't, because I think there's some edge, some off, quarterbacks
Sure.
that are probably all going in the top 5. But if something like that were to happen, where there wasn't a run on a specific position or a specific side of the ball, that's the kind of opportunities that you're looking for to trade down. Like, no corners are off the board, and there's a corner needy team 5 spots back. They have a shot at someone they didn't think they had a shot at. Like, that's what you're looking for. But can I predict whether the Lions are in a spot to trade down now or not? I don't know. I'd just be guessing.
Yeah. As it sits now, I think there's maybe 7 guys that the Lions wouldn't trade down if one of those 7 guys was there. And outside of those 7, I think they'd entertain it.
Okay. Are you going to name them, or is that just a number?
Not right now. Not right now.
Ooh, what a tease. All right, next question comes from Tipsy McStagger on Twitter. Says, what are your thoughts on bringing back Melifonwu? To Melifonwu, with Branch and Joseph's status uncertain, Melifonwu is familiar with the system and was healthy last year.
Sure. He went to Miami looking for an opportunity to start. I wouldn't be surprised if he was like, hey, I want to come back. Give me 1 year. Give me a chance to start while you guys got some injuries. And I could see him being interested. I could also see the Lions saying, we're willing to entertain this idea as well. Let you come in, compete with Avante and a Harper, and see what, and we'll see how Kirby and Branch's injuries shake out.
I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised if the Lions were interested. I think the Lions turned the page on that one a little bit, and I don't know if there was any bad blood or anything, but at some point it kind of felt like the Lions, and even some of the ways that Dan Campbell talked about him at times, it felt like the Lions they were kind of done with Iffy and all the injuries.
Maybe.
Like,
those haven't gone away. Right?
You remember the way they talked about it, though? Like, at one point, I feel like him talking about Iffy turned into the, like, hurt or injured conversation with him. And it felt like they were giving him a little
with
tough
Swift?
love. Yeah, a little bit. I don't have the specific
They
quote
did
with me here,
they certainly did.
And listen, that doesn't necessarily mean they're done with him. Maybe it was them
That
just
was also
trying to light a
Glenn.
fire.
It was also Aaron
I
Glenn.
think you're right. It
Yep.
was Aaron Glenn.
Yep.
So, I mean, yeah, maybe some of that has gone on out the building a little bit. But that sort of stuff could linger with the player. Stylistically and all that sort of stuff, like, obviously the Lions would benefit from having someone like him. I don't know if he'd start necessarily. I think Avante might be a better player at this point. But
he played great last year.
He really did.
He really did.
But I mean, it's hard also not to remember that year where Iffy was like outstanding as a pass rusher. In 2023 he had 8 pass breakups, 2 interceptions, 3 sacks, 5 quarterback hits, and
one of those interceptions was key too.
Yeah, sent the Lions to their first NFC North championship.
Won it. Yeah. Won it for him. Sealed
And
the
at that
game
point, we
in
thought like
Minnesota.
everything was turning around and he was going to be a starter. And then he played
Yeah.
3 games the next season. So there's no
Yeah.
doubt that there's playmaker in that player. But whether you can get it on a consistent basis, I mean, he only started 8 games for the Dolphins last year. He played in 16. So like, you know, I don't know. I like the idea in theory, but I don't know if it's going to happen.
I can see a path. I can see a path to it. So I won't rule it out.
Okay. BK Shaky on Twitter asks, would you rather sign a veteran center and leave Ratledge at right guard, or sign a veteran guard and move Ratledge to center?
I'd rather sign a center if it was the right one. Like if you take the names off of the positions and you say, yeah. If you're like if you're telling me, would you rather have a veteran at center than guard? Yes, that is 100% yes. Looking at this class, I think is a slightly different story, and that's something we talked about in between segments here with our audience. Is that the outside of Lindenbaum, we're looking at a lot of guys that we don't know what their availability or how well they would mesh, or if their talent level would be even better than what the Lions have. The draft class isn't, sparkling with options. And so Tate actually might be your best option. Even though that's not necessarily, I think, what I would prefer. That may be the route they end up going from a talent perspective, a way to get the most talent on the field.
That's what I was going to say. If your goal is to get the 5 most talented offensive linemen, the easiest and cheapest way is to find a free agent guard. There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
They're affordable. You can make it happen. And in an ideal world, moving Tate to center works. But we don't know if that's actually going to work. We don't know if the Lions think that's going to work. We don't know if the Lions have advised Tate to spend your entire offseason learning the center position and, going on fishing trips with Frank Ragnow. If that's the case, great. I think that's the ideal way in which everything works out in terms of spending less money, having enough options so that if your plan A doesn't work, if your plan A to get Tyler Lindenbaum doesn't work, let's say he re-signs with Baltimore or says, no, sorry, I don't want to play in Detroit. Well, then what? Then what are you doing at center? Are you throwing everything at Connor McGovern? Are you throwing everything at the top? Are you doing everything you can to get the top center in the draft? Those are pretty desperate swings. And so that's why I think it makes most sense, if you're confident in Tate Ratledge at center, to go and get yourself a free agent guard. But I don't know if we don't know where Tate Ratledge stands. So I don't know if that's a direct answer to your question, but that's kind of where I'm at. Brandon T, one of our Pride of Detroit subscribers, thank you for subscribing, asks, I heard this question asked at the NFL Stock Exchange podcast and was curious to hear your thoughts. If, for whatever reason, the Lions relocated, would you still be a fan of the team, or would you pick a new team, and which one? Or would you take a more agnostic approach and simply be a fan of football? Now, to be clear, I don't think Brandon is asking what may or may not be happening with the Chicago Bears, where whether they play in Michigan anymore. I think he's talking about the entire team relocating.
Going full Montreal Expos.
Sure.
Right?
Yes.
Geez. That's a good question, because as we've seen in the past, like when Cleveland left to become Baltimore, there are a lot of hurt, bitter feelings. Now that one they left in the middle of the night and didn't tell anyone, and it was kind of a bit of a surprise. But you see the the
emotional scarring, man.
Yeah, you look at the Oilers turning into Tennessee, and then them getting the Texans. Is it still the same? And I don't know. I do think that there would be some scarring, and it would be tough to stay attached. Yeah, it would be tough. I don't think I'd go full Rob Lowe and just be like, I like football.
I
Um,
might. I mean,
I might. I mean, maybe that's the route. Maybe Rob's onto something.
maybe I'll just become a fantasy football writer at that point.
Oh
Just give up
no.
everything I am as a person. I mean, the job part of that is the other question too, right? Because we are credentialed, because I have a
Oh,
steady
geez.
job in a world when that is not a guarantee. Like, I would definitely consider moving to wherever they move and continuing my career. But would I fall out of love a little bit? I mean, yeah, probably.
Mm.
The thing is, it would also depend on how much internal change there was, because part of the reason I do love the team is because of the people who work within the organization, and that goes beyond just the coaches and players that I'm talking about. I'm talking about some of the PR people that I work with, some of the people inside of the building that I see every day. If there's a big overhaul there and a bunch of new faces, like, then I'm going to be even more mad about that. And so here's what I do know. I wouldn't be able to adopt another team unless Detroit gained another team, you know, just became whatever. I don't think
Mm.
I could adopt another team. I've never been able to do that with a sport that doesn't have a local tie to it. I can't get behind like a, not that I'm into NASCAR or anything like that, but I can't get behind a driver. I can't get behind a Premier League team or any of those things because I don't have a tie to them, and I can't just randomly pick, and I can't just
What
be like,
about
well, I like this franchise's story. Like, no, I
all
can't
right?
do it.
What about tennis? You're a big tennis guy. Would you?
Yeah,
Is there?
there's only guys that I don't like because of their individual like personalities. I guess there's some that I tend to, but like that's because of one person's personality. It's harder for me to base an entire organization because there's not like a
Yeah.
single identity to them.
I wonder if I would be able to like. I've grown attached to teams over the years for brief like periods of
Yeah,
time. Like I like this team for a little bit of time because of I liked the way they were operating.
sure. There's certainly
Or
teams that I admire and franchises that I
yeah,
admire,
and I
but I
think
just
that would be more like what it would be like.
yeah.
It'd be like I admire this team. I'm going to kind of follow along with this team, but yeah, I don't. If the Lions left, I would probably just try and go national and just cover the league
Okay, so
instead.
you're Rob Lowing it up.
I think I would now that now that I'm now that I've made fun of them, I'm now making fun of myself because that might be the way to go. Yeah, yeah, it'd be hard. That'd be a hard thing
Full
to
time
do.
grid index, because who? I mean, the grid index works for all teams.
Yeah, well, they all say it they do, but
All right, last question here from Dennis G, one of our Pride of Detroit or ex subscribers says, there's an idea that paying just good or less players elite money can cause significant organizational risk. Would Decker fall under that category? As horrible as it is to cut him, if he doesn't retire, is it likely for him to produce as a $21 million player? What would other organizations do that are either in the Lions class or what the Lions aspire to be?
so I don't think that number is as unreasonable as the question makes it sound.
I agree.
Because I think that's kind of middle of the road for what you'd expect for a left tackle. And that's kind of what Decker is. He's a middle of the road, slightly above average left tackle, and he
12th.
makes the money that there you go.
According
Like,
to Over the Cap, that's 12th amongst left tackle
okay,
cap hits in 2026. Left tackles alone, not all tackles, left tackles.
that's not too far off from where he is. Like, so I actually don't think that's a good player making elite money. I think that's what the cost of that position is. So, um, now, granted, he's getting older and he's been injured and he's been dealing with things, and his game has suffered a little bit because of the injuries, but he's still an above average, I think, on the higher end of offensive tackles. Like it, we split the offensive tackles or left tackles in the league. I think he'd be in the top 16. So, I tell you what, I don't know if this will answer the second part of this question, but you should see the Bears fans drooling over the fact that they think Decker might get cut.
Yeah.
And that they're connecting the dots saying, oh, Ben Johnson could lure him in. We would pay whatever it takes. Like the Bears want Taylor Decker, Bears fans right now. It's amazing to watch.
It's interesting.
Because
Yeah.
one, I he from a talent perspective, I think his money is right on. What he brings to the organization beyond just what he does on the field is invaluable. And I think that's really why he doesn't get cut. I think it's going to be his decision on what ends up happening to him next year. And so the intangibles thing makes him well worth the money. His on-field play is right on par for that. And I think other organizations would jump at the opportunity to land a left tackle that is, like I said, average to above average.
And if his cap hit bothers you, kick like $6 million of his salary into a signing bonus. Spread over the remaining 3 years of his contract, 2 years of his contract.
Sure. Add some more. Add another void a year on.
Because here, like, this is maybe a conversation that I don't think a lot of people have begun talking about. If he returns this year, I think there's a good chance he returns the year after that. Like, obviously,
it all depends on the injury, of course.
Of course,
but, yeah.
But I think the only way Taylor Decker returns this upcoming season is if he is in a very confident place that the injury is not coming back, or the injury is very, very manageable in a way that it hasn't been for the past 2 years. And if that's the case, then he's probably going to be confident in being able to do it again next year after that, and being able to do all the things with his family on the side, like being able to throw, the football with him long term, those sort of things that are a long-term concern with him. Do I think he's going to get there? I mean, no, I'm leaning towards him retiring anyways and kind of making this conversation moot, but
it's just a tough spot physically.
Oh God,
really
that was a bad place to leave the show. You want to?
Well, I'll tell you what.
Let's take a fun one before we go.
Great.
I was going to do this one off air, but Jason Krolick asked a great question.
Great.
Now that you've had Petsing on the show, who was your dream interview?
Mike Kafka. That's specifically for you, Eamon Reynolds. Mike Kafka. Oh, it would be amazing if I could get Mike Kafka on the show.
Well played. Well played. You know what? I don't know if anyone's asked whether we can have him available at the combine, but that would be nice too. No, I mean, Dan is still kind of number one, and I know that seems like a little bit of a waste since we talk to him 50 times a year. But we were really close to having him on the show right after the Lions hired him, because a lot of people got one-on-ones with him and we didn't, and like we both agreed like this was a good way to maybe make it work, and like we were weeks away from it happening, and just the scheduling fell apart. So Dan's high on my list, but I don't know. I'm trying to think of what would also feel like super special and different, because it's not necessarily a player. We've had players on here and it's fun, don't get me wrong, but I want something that people can't get anywhere else, right? So I don't know. Do you have an idea of who that might be for you outside of Mike Kafka? Because don't get me wrong, Mike Kafka's a great answer, and we'd love to have him on the show.
100%.
And I don't normally stare right down the barrel of the camera, but I'm doing it right now.
We have the same budget. So look, there's a lot of people in the NFL that I think I highly respect and would love to have a chance to talk to. A guy like Daniel Jeremiah, I think would be super fun. We've talked to Dane Brugler before. He'd be another entertaining guest to talk to again, just to pick his brain on some things.
How about new Lions president and CEO Mike Disner?
or whoever that may be. I mean, that would certainly be fun. I think, look, I'm more I'm very much a Brad Holmes guy, and
Oh, of
so
course.
I would love to pick his brain, understand the nuances of what he does. I think Chris Spielman could be
Oh,
fun.
Spielman's a great answer.
Um, he just the wealth of information that he has. Um, there's a lot of guys in that room. Like, I've never really had a full conversation with Disner. I think he would be like, I know you were
Yep.
made the joke there, but like he's an interesting,
I mean,
he's an interesting
why
person.
stop there? Sheila would honestly be awesome, right?
Oh, well, yes. Let's just
Admittedly,
open the
probably a
doors.
pipe dream as much as
Yeah. Yeah.
and as much as we deserve a pat on the back for everything with Drew Petzing. I'm not sure that elevates us to all right. Let's get
It's
Sheila on live internet stream, but open to it for sure. Let me be clear.
um yeah, there's so many unique people that have unique roles inside that organization that I think to be able to highlight some of them. There's just I don't know, there's probably half dozen people, a
Oh
dozen
yeah,
people I could think of off the top of my head. Like, um, yeah, there's it's they have a really unique group of people in the
yeah.
organization, and they're so fascinating in so
Yep.
many ways, which is why I'm so like bought in on this franchise and the direction that this regime is taking it, because I look at the layers on layers of people that they have and I'm like just impressed.
They've all got crazy stories to tell, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, like I put in a request for for Jill
Yeah.
for a couple years because
Costanza.
I was fascinated by Jill.
Yep.
And she's amazing. Like she's one of the like she's what she does behind the scenes is just so impressive. And you know, the attitude that she has and the right mentality and the mindset, it's just it's an incredible job, and it's something that didn't get light. I thought it should. And so I pursued that for three, 3 years
Yeah.
before I finally got approval on that. And I think, man, there's so many other people that I think
Within the
deserve that as
organization for
well.
sure. And
Yeah,
yeah, there's a bunch
yeah,
outside the organization too, bright football minds out there that, we've
sure.
already had, like you mentioned, some of the people that we've already been able to interview, Mina and you know,
Yeah,
the football outside. I still call them the football outsiders guys because they'll always be football outsiders to me, but, Shots, even our
right.
buddy Brett Whitefield, has
Yeah,
luckily for us become a good friend. So I I almost want to take this time to just reflect on how many awesome people we've already been able to become regulars with. I mean, the fact that Arif is a good friend of the show is
yeah,
incredibly lucky. I consider him maybe the most talented NFL writer in the game today.
mm,
And to be able to talk to him 2 times a year on both of our podcasts is an incredible privilege. So, but we will keep digging and keep trying to find new and impressive people to interview, both on this show and for the website, because it's fun, it's cool,
mhm.
and we don't waste that privilege. So, anyways, I think we'll leave things there. Thank you for your patience. It's been a couple weeks, I know, for the midweek mailbag. I think next week we'll do another public one, because I think this was the first one of February. And then the first week... Oh, wait, we might not even do one next week because I'm going to be at the NFL Combine.
Yeah, February's tricky.
Yeah.
And then when you add in the Petsing interview, it just makes everything a little bit more
Yeah.
muddled as far as getting this one out. But
Yeah, maybe.
hey,
If I find time in Indy, which I probably won't, maybe we'll do an off-air midweek mailbag. Or maybe we'll do... I don't know. I'm figuring, just, you know what, go to pridedetroit.com. You'll find some information there. Follow us on Twitter. We'll tweet out information there. And, of course, if you're a live listener, make sure you're subscribed on YouTube and Twitch and get notifications every time we're live. That way you're never going to miss this. But until then, that's Erik over there. Nope, I pointed the wrong way. That's Erik over there. I'm Jeremy. Thank you all for joining us. It's chaos. Be kind.
Recording stopped.
We could do a PODD next Wednesday and then just jump right back into the regular ones the week after the combine.
You want me to do a PODD mailbag at the combine?
Yeah, why not? We'll do it on Wednesday. No problem.
Just in the middle of everything, you want me to cut out 4 hours, Erik?
No, we'll do an abridged one.
How? The whole point is it's not supposed to be abridged.
Okay, well,
here's what I'll say. I will bring my podcasting equipment with me. I will not be guaranteeing anything. You just said you wanted me to do one next week. No.
If you're not gonna commit, then we're not gonna be able to do a live one.
I will say this. So most of what happens at the combine happens from 8 a.m. to 1.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's a big gap,
right,
where everyone goes and takes a nap,
right,
and then there's socializing at night.
Correct.
So theoretically, yes, I could do it on like a Wednesday afternoon.
No, I can't though. Not at 1.
Then what are we doing here?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like between the pressers being either Tuesday or Wednesday, and then and then the actual drills and stuff happening, like we're not going to have time unless we did something like at night before you go out.
I listen.
It'd be hard.
I don't like staying out that much.
No, I know.
I can skip one of those.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think the best nights are like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then then most people are out of town. They're like, all right, I've met with the players that I want to meet with. I'm gone.
And next week's gonna be kind of chaotic. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I can't do it. Anyways.
Great.
Now that I'm remembering.
I do want some of that cocktail shrimp right now just to clear my freaking sinuses. Special guest, you two on a 90-minute plane ride with Dave Phipp. That's a pretty good idea. He
would just talk the whole time.
We'd have 2 questions.
Dave, did they just tell us to put our seat upright? Oh yeah, let me tell you about this. What?
Yeah, it kind of reminds me.
I was up in a plane.
I don't like to tell stories here.
Did you know that, Jet? And then the next question is when we're starting to land, and he's like, "Dave, did they just tell us to put our trays up?" Yeah, but let me tell you about the tray.
Did you guys know? Dave is so funny. I love Dave. It was so like Aaron Nagler, who I respect. He started what's it called?
Cheesehead.
Cheesehead TV. That's right. Green Bay's had like special team struggles for a really long time, and they just parted ways, right, with their special teams coordinator.
Didn't they lose him? I don't think they wanted to, but maybe they did.
Really?
I don't know.
But
I'm half paying attention.
I saw him tweet today like everyone hates their special teams coordinator. He didn't tweet that today. He tweeted that I think last week, and I'm like, not everybody. Not everybody.
Philly likes theirs too. Philly's got that wild man.
Who's there? I don't know.
I'm trying to remember. I think it's Philly, isn't he?
I think you're thinking of Dave Phipp 10 years ago.
No, there's an old. Is it Philly or is it? Am I thinking of Pittsburgh? Maybe I'm thinking Pittsburgh. I'm blanking. I need to think about it more. I think maybe it's Pittsburgh, but they redid their whole staff, so I don't know what's going on over there.
Just stand up in the middle of Drew talking and say, "Hey, big dog, I have something I have to do," and then just start streaming and answering questions. Absolutely not.
I think you need to dap them up, though. I'm telling you, they're gonna look at you different.
The Sandwich Maker, thank you for the 12 months subscribed on Twitch. I appreciate you.
I'm going to the next time I see him. Don't you worry.
Yeah, no, I don't. But you're not going to see him for like what, until
matter.
OTAs?
It don't matter. Bro's getting a hug, man.
He's not even going to remember you.
Oh.
Nah,
Don't be mean now.
I'm sure when I see him on whatever day it is next week, he's gonna be like, "Hey, where's the other guy?" He might even say, "Where's Erik?"
He might say the other guy though.
He might say the other guy. I don't know. I don't assume he knows my name at this point.
Hey, you. Where's the other guy, bro?
Bro. He's at home, big dog.
Maybe he'll call you that. Hey, big dog, where's your partner?
If he calls me big dog, I'm going to lose it in the moment. Or else either Tuesday or Wednesday next week.
I almost got to bro hug status with Ben Johnson. Not quite.
I'm trying to remember. I think we went bro hug when I crossed his path in at the NFL Combine last year.
Nice. That was close. We always talked about kids though.
Yeah.
That was the main thing we talked about.
Don't bro me if you don't know me. I don't know Grandpa in terms of Danny. I haven't been in contact with her since she announced that she's leaving. I will say I was impressed when I found out that she was already doing a bunch of Big Ten work.
She has been for a couple of years.
During the season.
Yeah.
So like Saturdays she'll be at a Big Ten game. Did I just hear thunder? Is it thundering outside? It must be. But yeah, Saturdays she'll be at a Big Ten game in Illinois and then be at the Lions game the next day. And I'm just like, Saturday's my day off. I don't like that. I don't want to do another completely different job. So, pure guess, like maybe she's taking a bigger step in that direction.
She also has a very different job than you do. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
of course.
She's not.
Of course.
She's not writing.
No.
10 o'clock at night.
Of course, but even to have that depth of knowledge in two different teams is tough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you do a little studying.
Yeah.
On the 90-minute plane ride if you don't have Fit sit next to you. Like her job's more, during the week it's more regimented. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Whereas ours is just chaos all the time. So I can understand why Saturday it might be a little easier.
Man, my mentions on Twitter are a mess because I made the mistake of comparing the Bears playing in Indiana, just outside of Chicago, to the Lions playing in Toledo.
Yes.
Which, of course, it's not a perfect comparison because I'm fully aware that Toledo is an hour away, whereas this little podunk town in Indiana is
30 minutes away or something like
15 to 20 minutes or whatever. Like, but the whole point is like, it's just an out of state thing. And like, I got people in Toledo mad at me thinking it was an insult at Toledo. Bears fans found it and said, "Oh, this is the kind of logic I would expect out of someone who has dirt in their drinking water." I'm like, Jesus Christ! Like I would. Oh my God! I wasn't saying this is a perfect 1-to-1 comparison. Oh, did you know that the Lions used to play in Auburn Hill? Yeah, I'm Pontiac. I'm aware. Thank you.
That's those letters after the city though. Those were the same though.
Right. Like I understand your place is closer to Chicago than. That's not the point I'm clearly making. It's out of state. You know what? If I have to explain this to you, we're not conversing. We're not. This is not.
It is. I swear there have been more Bears fans in my mentions this year. or this off season than ever any year I can remember.
They
They've got a taste of it. They've got a lot going on.
listen. I understand what they're going through because Lions fans were accused of the same thing 3 years ago, where it's just like you get a taste of something good, and suddenly you're like, why doesn't everyone respect me? I get it. And you know what? Have your time in the moment, and if you want to throw your weight around and say we're better than you think we are, then fine. Go around believing that, and maybe it's even true. But I'm not playing this game with you. And I'd like to think I wasn't doing that too much when the Lions. There were definitely people that were in Detroit. But it's just like the thing that comes with success that I don't quite understand is the people who would rather shout at other people than celebrate it. Like their version of celebrating is being like, see, I told this idiot over here. It's like, are you even having fun with this? Seems like you're still angry. Just enjoy being a good team. What was crazy? What I've seen that's crazy is like, there's a subsect of people for whatever reason that seem to be trying to downplay Seattle's Super Bowl.
Why?
I don't know why.
I haven't seen that.
Because I think maybe because they're boring, or like they don't have this high flying offense, or their quarterback sucks.
He does. They're not wrong.
But like the amount of people in Seattle who are spending their time defending. I mean, maybe I'd be doing the same because like, F you, this is the first line Super Bowl. But it's just like, no, like celebrate. Don't waste your time with people who are trying to pull you down for whatever dumb reason they've got.
I just mute every Bears fan that comes into my mentions. It's really easy. And then I don't have to hear
Why
from
don't you
them
block
again.
them?
Or I could, I guess. I should. I'll start doing that now.
Okay, cool.
I'm just like, if you're going to, like, you're not, I don't mind using social media for like engagement, but like, I don't need you to shout at me because you're a Bears fan. Like, you go away. You're not following me for any reason other than just to or I'm only there because I showed up in your stupid algorithm, and so you want to comment? Go ahead, yell at the wall. I'll mute you. You can just scream into the void. That's fine.
The only reason why I no longer believe mute is better than block is because my curiosity gets the better of me 100% of the time. And when I see that there's 3 replies and I can only see 2 of them, I got to see what that third reply is. And you know how many times when I find out what that third reply is, I'm glad that I did?
0.
It's never happened. It's never happened. It's never happened. But yet my stupid curiosity needs to know every single time.
Well, what I've noticed is that if I mute someone in the past, sometimes they would still like show up in my feed because someone else was responding to them. And like, I don't know why I did that, but like, and so I was just blocking them at one point because that was for sure getting them out of my feed. But I've tried to be like not as aggressive, I guess, with the block. Because I don't care. I don't care what a Bears fan thinks of me. Like, I really don't.
Right, but that's why I think blocking them. I don't care if your next tweet is look at this soft Lions writer couldn't even take one bad tweet. Like, okay, sure. I'm soft because I don't want to ever see anything from your face again. I guess that makes me soft.
All right, you sold me. I'm just going to go through all my mutes and just block everybody that I've muted.
Thank you.
I just there's no reason. I don't need to see you complaining.
Anyways, Twitter's a great place. You guys should all sign up for twitter.com. Not called anything else. Anything else?
Oh.
Well, I'm gonna
Was
go
there
drink.
another question or no?
What other? Oh, there was one more for off air. BK Shaky asked if Decker stays, how do you think the Lions prioritize the draft? Offensive tackle, guard, center, defensive end. Depends who's available.
I mean, no, but it also depends on what they do in free agency.
Sure.
It's a harder question. I think it certainly puts guard on the table, but or like a round 4 center on the table.
I'm still of the belief that tackle should be.
Yeah, I still think getting a tackle, even if it's OT3, is still a bigger priority maybe than getting center 2.
Well, I was going to say, like, even if Decker says, I'll play for a year.
Yeah, you still need a tackle.
You still need a tackle. And I would have no problem with the Lions drafting in the first round Taylor Decker's eventual replacement, even if he sits for the first year.
It's funny because if they do that, there's going to be people complaining that you're not getting the value out of your first round pick. But at the same time, I also think that those are the same voices that I hear complaining, why didn't the Lions draft a center in the first round before Frank retired?
Yeah, why didn't they? Why weren't they proactive with him?
Because I hear that all the time.
Oh, of course.
Right? Like, why didn't Detroit take this guy instead of Terrion? Why didn't they take a center instead of Terrion? Well, because he would have sat for a year and people would have complained. Well, it's the same scenario. Just it's an interesting. I mean, could teams do it because they have, built up their framework?
Yep.
Lions are in a weird year where they've got more holes in the framework than they did last year. So I don't know if they could get away with not using a first round tackle or not drafting a tackle and then not playing them. It'd be hard. But look, these guys get injured all the time.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
That's also like, you're always so obsessed over that OT3 spot. Well, you got a great one now, and
you need it.
And you're tackle for the future. Boulder asks, so are you saying you don't see Manu as a starter in the next 2 years? Not based on what I've seen so far. I'm not saying it's not a possibility. It certainly is, but there'd have to be some sort of development there that we haven't seen yet, which is possible.
Yeah, the tricky part with guys like Manu is so much of his development happens when we can't see it.
Right. And did he just join Taylor Decker's agency? I feel like that happened recently, right?
Oh, he's starting training with them.
Did that happen this year or last year?
That was last year. He started training with them.
So, who knows?
Yeah.
It's a big year for him.
I still think Manu could get shifted in the guard, potentially.
You're still on that?
I think he could.
I'm not.
If he's not making it a tackle. At this point, his ceiling is Dan Skipper. In my mind. Can he be better than that? Can he be better than that? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think he will be, but I think the ceiling is there. We're talking about ceiling for a reason.
I know. I just don't.
You don't think there's any possibility he could become a starter then?
Nothing that I have seen has said he can be a starter.
That's not what I'm asking.
Could he? He has all of the physical traits. Yes, but he doesn't hit his marks right. He doesn't process things quick enough. He doesn't move out of his stance fast enough. Like, there's technique issues. His footwork isn't where it needs to be. Like, you can have all the physical gifts, but if you can't put them together, which I have not seen yet, that's not a starter. If he was in college, right in this draft, I would probably have a day 3 grade on him again, for sure.
Well, Giovanni Manu, not next week's guest on the Midweek Mailbag.
I like the kid too because he's a good kid. It's just I haven't seen it. I'm hoping that here's the thing with so many intangibles. If you come into this training camp and you're still not there after 3 years,
right? That's why. Right.
Let's
that's
keep
why
it.
this year's huge for him.
Yeah, but I don't know.
This is year 3. Give him a third year chance.